Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode on the Let's Talk Wellness with Shal podcast. My name is Shalini Tyagaraja. I am a technology corporate leader and a wellness coach. And I'm very excited today to bring in another important topic to me and to a lot of folks that I've recently been talking to. And this is why high achievers still feel unfulfilled. I am excited to have our guest here today, Mirabelle. Mirabelle activates accomplished leaders and visionaries to reconnect with what exists beyond success and legacy, deepening their presence and transforming how they lead, create, and live. Her approach is rooted in 2 decades of immersion in yogic sciences and the intelligence beyond the mind for the leader who thinks in strategy and results and knows somewhere beneath that there is a more expansive way to live. A published author, passionate advocate for human potential, working with Marable is a return to alignment with what you sense is calling, but you can't put it into words. And here are what some of Marable's folks have to say. Working with Marable was the best thing I've ever done for myself. Marable showed me how peak performance and fulfillment can coexist. So, welcome, Marable.
Thank you, Shalini, for having me. It's such a pleasure to finally meet you.
Yes, absolutely. So, tell us a little bit. Where are you calling us from?
I'm in the Cayman Islands. Yes,
Awesome.
just off the coast of Miami.
Wow. I know I've just seen it in the map. It's still on my list or travel list. I mean, we love to travel. So, we've been to like over 35 countries. So I guess definitely this has kind of been on the map. So maybe someday I'll come to you for
Yeah,
tips.
you're welcome anytime.
Great. All right. So we'll dive in. So the first question is you work with people who've already achieved everything they thought they wanted. So what's actually happening in them and they come to you? What do they come to you for?
They come to me usually because they've tried everything.
Hmm. Yep.
They've tried the medication route. They've tried sometimes psychiatry. They've tried wellness stuff. They've tried longevity stuff, hypnotherapy, therapy, and something still doesn't feel right. And their mind cannot comprehend what it could possibly be because logic has checked every box off.
Yep.
They've stepped into things that they in the past would already consider woo woo. And even that isn't working. And then it really, people find out about me through friends. It's just completely being very organic. And their friends will say, "You need to go see Mirabelle." I'm like, what does she do? I can't explain it. You need to go see Mirabelle. And so, you know, the people that come to me at that stage, they're highly driven. They're very intelligent. They are very good at taking personal responsibility because that's what you have to do as a leader. The buck stops at you. But they don't have the tools, and not really just the tools, like the architectural framework to understand how to apply self leadership in their personal life. Not to become a better mother or a better father or a better husband, not to check yet another box and perform better at life,
Yep.
but they are thirsting for a sense of self trust, a sense of completeness, ease, really, ease is the word, a sense of ease that they can tap into despite their ability to be resilient because they know it. They're like, they're rock stars at resilience. you
Yeah.
know, like they could win the Nobel Peace Prize or whatever it is, like give them all the awards for resilience. But their resilience, their whatever caused them to be resilient, the energetics of that hasn't been met. And that's what's keeping them from their joy. And what they're really seeking is their joy, not like this big joy that, is like over the top, but just an inner sense of like, I mean, you can't put words to it, but you sense it, right? Like you sense it. Like you're a leader, you sense when there's a trend going to unfold in a while.
Yeah.
And you know it's not the right time to talk about it, but you're preparing in the background, but you know it's possible.
Mm.
And it's that I help them with to
Wow.
access that.
Okay. I guess we'll get a little more into that. But I think, I mean, I see kind of where you're going, but I feel like, I mean, this question comes up a lot too, right? Which is, what is that sense of fulfillment, right? Because we feel, like you said, we checked all the boxes. Yes. I mean, you've kind of built your financial stability and more, right? You have all these luxuries of life, and then you kind of go through the whole family, the kids, I mean, all of those different
Yeah,
checklists,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Then what is it after that? Right?
yeah,
I think that's the question.
yeah. And so we have to ask who is asking that question, right?
Mm,
So who's asking that question? And this comes from Indic traditions, Indic sciences, particularly Advaita Vedanta. Who is asking the question? Because the person, the
mm,
identity I have today, as whatever it is that we have, our identity that is a sum total of what we believe to be true about ourselves
mm,
based on the evidence we have collected that corroborates that this is who I am.
mm,
And that evidence we have collected, whether it's the achievements or the self-worth or the net worth, or it doesn't matter what it is, right? It's based on an idea that we were
mm,
conditioned into, that we subscribe to, of
mm.
what success is, of what achievement is, of
Yeah.
what fulfillment even is, because
Yep.
fulfillment is also a concept.
Yeah. Yep.
Legacy is also a concept. And then there's the felt
Perspective.
sense, the experience of it,
Yeah.
right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
So to receive whatever is next for me,
Mm,
I have to first question what I hold to be truth.
mm.
Not because it's not truth, not because we want to say the achievements don't matter and it's
Right.
materialistic. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But at a certain frequency, like when you're in a, in an, I'll give you an example. I flew with one of my clients. We did a session on a private jet because that's the time we had, right? And it was my first time on a private jet at that time, and it was very interesting because we didn't have to go through the regular route of the airport and the lines and all of that.
Yep.
But till then, my only experience of flying was like make sure you're there 3 years in advance. Like I like to carry my own food. Like don't carry your khichdi because they're gonna flag it, and like all kinds of stuff.
Mm,
And here I could take anything I wanted. It was just absolutely smooth. Now, would the level of like traveling regular
mm,
with whatever class of travel you're traveling, or in that same airport, is that untruth? No, it's truth. It's a certain frequency. And then there is also that frequency where you get on a jet and it's very easy. You don't have to do that long line for immigration and security. And is that untruth or truth? It's just a different frequency. But what took me to a regular thing cannot take me to the next level. So I have to subtract something, not because we're giving it up, but from an understanding of what is, I mean, you're a leader, Shal, right? At the highest level, it's not about what you add, it's about what you take out.
yeah. Yep. Right.
Because if you keep adding, you're going to burn out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your systems are going to be more complicated. You're going to have more inefficiencies. But how do you have that? Do we anywhere, even in B school,
Mm,
get an understanding of how to apply that to every aspect of our life, from the micro thoughts we have to the way we think about thoughts to our emotions to we don't get that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's deep. But you're right. That definitely hits a chord when you when you say when you talk about some of these things, right? So yeah,
It's
there.
logical, right? Like it's not, it makes sense
Yeah,
to you in your mind too, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Awesome. All right. I'm sure we'll dig a little more as we go into kind of some of the next few questions. So I guess the next one is, what do most leaders think they're looking for? Nervous system regulation, mind hacks, peak performance. What are they actually looking for?
Yeah. I think they don't they're looking for something that's beyond all that.
Hmm.
But as a leader, it takes a lot of humility
Yeah.
to be able to say that I'm in a, like, that I am looking for something more,
Hmm.
that I want to put myself first, because the conditioning of leadership is you put yourself last. you know like you put the company first, you put the bottom line first, you put your family first, you put your employees first, but you put yourself last.
Hmm.
But the license that leaders receive is because there's so much talk now that wellness is a big $1 trillion industry, CAGR growing year on year, all of that. It's almost like in the past when therapy was a bad thing, and now it's okay to say I have a therapist. And now wellness is kind of falling into that place where it was like, especially even with with men in wellness, male leaders, like, oh, I must be weak if I need therapy. But if they say nervous system regulation and there's a science to it, and the neuroscientists are talking about it, and we have all this data, and then my watch is measuring that, and I
Yep.
can tell that my HIV is low, then it's almost like this very subtle unconscious license to step into, I'm not weak, I want to optimize. But actually, there's something else they're looking for. So many people that are not referrals will come to me with my cortisol levels, or doctors sometimes refer patients to me, right? They're like, elevated cortisol levels. We've been doing everything. We put this person on HRT. We've done this. They've done therapy for years. They're not working. Told them to come see you. So they're coming because the doctor has recommended. So there's already like a different energy when they come.
Yep.
And I say, these are my scores on my aura ring, shows me this, that. And I'm like, okay, and how are you feeling when you wake up in the morning?
Just kidding.
You know?
Yep.
And it's like, well, my aura ring says, I said, I don't care what your aura ring says right now.
Mhm. Yep.
How are you feeling?
Correct.
I feel exhausted. I said, yeah, that's what we're looking to change. And there's a way to
Mhm.
do that, right? And if you're willing, then I can help you. But it's that willingness, it's that humility. And humility is receptivity. It's not smallness. It's not that I don't know or that I lack. That's why I'm coming.
Mhm.
And it's very important for me to share this with leaders, because I know it's a hard, I've worked with gurus. I still work with but I'm also a teacher, but I'm still working. So, I understand that you have to make yourself small in a way, small in the sense like empty, be willing to empty yourself to receive the next level. Because if
Yep.
you're full, you can't receive, you can't absorb. And if you're full and you're trying to add more, but you want to feel lighter and more easeful, it's, logically makes no sense.
So ego comes in the way too. I mean, ego in a different way, but
Yeah, yeah.
yes, you
If
should.
you look at it in a very human way, we just all want to feel safe.
Correct.
We all want to feel
Exactly. Yep.
enough,
Yep.
no?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Okay. So then you talk about the alchemy of emotions. So what does that mean, and why does that even matter for leaders?
Mm. What's your understanding of emotions?
Oh wow. It's it's a feeling, but it's also fleeting because clearly, I mean, today somebody's happy, tomorrow you could be sad. I mean, or even within the same day, you could have whatever, multiple ups and downs of, so so I feel it's a response, right? It's basically like how your body is reacting to something.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I talk about emotions, the way that I see it, again, this is from the Indic
Hmm.
traditions, which
Hmm.
neuroscience is slowly catching up on, but has a long way to go.
It
Um,
is.
I just want to give honor and credit to where this comes from
Yep.
because this is
Yep.
not my creation, right? Um, Emotions are energy in motion. Everything, everything in the
Mm.
known and unknown universe is made of energy.
Yeah.
And the law of energy is it cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. Therefore, alchemy is the greatest um, power we have. And so when we look at emotions, just like you said, they're fleeting and they're sometimes responses and sometimes they are conditioned and their reactions and all of that. But we relegate them just to the mind. We still, with all our science and imaging and everything, Neuralink, whatever, we still cannot identify a physical location of the mind, but we talk about it like it's the most normal, natural thing in the world, and we call ourselves logical because we think from the mind. I just want to point out the paradox. Let's use our logic to like look at ourselves a little more clearly, right? And the way we experience emotion is in the body. There is a physiological reaction because of the way that we perceive a piece of information, a phenomenon, an event, and that experience is different for each person and for each person at a different time. Emotions are neurochemical responses. There is the HP axis, right? The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. There's the nervous system firing, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. There's the cortisol levels, the adrenal axis. And then there are the neurotransmitters that are produced. And it's just a neurochemical cocktail. And then we call it an emotion, we give it a label, then we say, is it good? Is it's a good emotion, it's a bad emotion. You shouldn't feel bad things. Think positive. And then the pressure that people put on themselves to think positive creates more stress than the actual thing itself. Especially if you're a high achiever, right? And then if you think you are an empathetic leader, you want to be compassionate, I mean, sometimes you're being so violent to yourself.
Mm.
So the alchemy of emotions is understanding what emotions really are from a very practical perspective, and then how to shift those experiences by shifting perception. But not shifting perception from a place of force, but from a place, an expansive space of meeting our humanity. Not to engender and to get a result. If I do this, I mean you're a techie, right? So if this, then that, right? If I do this, then I will get this, my emotion will change this way. That is a transaction.
Exactly. Yep.
Energy is the greatest force in the universe. Everything in the world right now, world domination is about energy,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
In the Indic traditions, we call it Shakti and we call it feminine,
Yep.
right? Whether it's oil or it's
Mm.
data or it's women's reproductive rights or whatever it is all about controlling energy. We are transacting with energy.
Yeah.
If this, then that. If you don't do this, the fear that you will get punished and you will not get this energy, money energy, love energy, acceptance energy, whatever it is. There is another way that isn't based on fear and control, but that is based on a very practical way to embody the highest level of intelligence, which is love. Intelligence, inspiration, intuition.
Mm.
It's all an inner sense.
Yep. Yep.
And it is a technology, And that's what I teach people for the alchemy of emotions.
Yeah. All right. That definitely sounds fascinating. But I totally hear what you're saying around energy and when we keep hearing a lot about everything's within you, you can, do so much. And then we have this whole external world and a lot of factors, right, that impact us. And we feel like, oh my gosh, if I have this, then I'm going to get here. Well, when you get that, you're not really there, right? So this is where we feel like we're spiraling and anyway, and then life goes on because every phase of life you're looking for the next thing, right? And then
Exactly.
you get the next thing and then you're like, oh, maybe not. Well, okay, now what? Right? So there's this constant anyway, looking for something, if you if that's how I want to say it.
Yeah.
But okay, awesome. All right, so then I guess just maybe a segue there is, what is presence and why is it actually important for leaders?
Hmm. In your experience, what what do most leaders draw on to be able to get the results that they get?
I mean, knowledge, experience, right? Yeah, I mean, value system, yeah, to an extent, but yeah.
Hmm. And all that gets us to a certain point. Would you agree? And then there's, like you're saying, there's that, what's next? Like, when do I actually ever arrive, right?
Exactly.
And
Yep.
where is it that I'm supposed to arrive? Because
Yes.
it keeps changing, right? And so presence is, let me actually give you the science first. In the to the extent that we currently are able to track that through Western science. Our heart has an electromagnetic field. This is a measurable field. When we are coherent, which means our system is in equilibrium, at another level, you would say we're in a state of flow. People around us can sense that. It doesn't matter how we project ourselves, they can sense that, right?
Yeah.
Ever had a bad day and you just don't want to go into work because you're just not feeling it, and then you're like, I really don't want to. But then you go and you kind of put up a strong front because we're human. We all have those days, right? But then you can sense that people can sense that something's off, right? And it's not just your emotions, it's the electromagnetic field, the coherence. And so we can try to create all the projections that show us as capable in leadership. But if we are not embodied, if we don't have that level of self leadership meaning the ability to have rhythm in our day, to keep our circadian rhythms, to eat our meals with presence and love, because you know what? It's completely okay to take care of myself first. It's not selfish. It's the act of respecting my body. And without this body, guess what? I can't show up to do my work.
Right.
Right? The act of learning to recognize when I need rest,
Mm,
not when I've reached burnout, but in these micro moments of rest in the day. These are self leadership. When I say to a person, I can see that this issue is really important for you, and you are important to me. But it's the end of the day today, and I still have a deliverable.
yeah.
I'm gonna go home, take care of myself, and come back to you tomorrow or in a week.
Mm,
That is self leadership. That is presence. That is not making it wrong that you need to take care of yourself, and at the same time honoring that the other person's need is valid and that you do want to address it, but you want to be your best, fullest, most present self, because everybody does their best, whether you want to say perform. I mean, I don't understand why human beings constantly have to perform like we're some monkeys or circus acrobats. um but like my desire is always to feel feel more and more like expansion, joy, connection. And I know when I'm in that state, I'm at my most creative. My problem solving is off the charts. My clarity of speech, I'll say exactly what's needed and not more. So self leadership builds that self trust. And resilience at a certain level is a tolerance, right? Like I can tolerate more nonsense because the industry is like this, because the demands of the job like this. And we have in the world and in the industries um, made resilience some kind of holy grail, some kind of badge of honor that people have to strive towards. Like, who said life has to be so effortful? There is another way. I live on a Caribbean island working with leaders from across the world. I know there is another way. I live it, right? People I work with
Mm.
are living it. It doesn't mean we don't have challenges, but that's a different technology to approach the challenges that makes it easier. And so presence just emanates from you. You can buy it, you can transact with it. It's even there on a day when you're pretty feeling pretty crappy. You know, it's like a diamond covered in coal is still a diamond. You can't, it just is. And presence is that experience of knowingness, of isness, of safety, of trust that you hold within you that others sense. It is the highest experience of integrity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Absolutely. I think, and also, yeah, I guess, I mean, a lot of people, I would say, I think of presence as just being there, right? Being aware. So yes, I think a lot of what you said, again, knowing yourself, knowing when to say you need to take this time or when you pause, right? All of that, I guess, is part of that whole self-care, right? Because again, you can't pour from an empty cup. So it's one of those things. So you come back to, yep, taking care
Yeah,
of yourself and being present and knowing what's happening. I think
yeah,
it's such an important skill. And I don't know how many people actually do that or even feel that today or even pause for it. Because I
yeah,
feel like we're in such a driven world. And like you said, I mean, perform, perform. I mean,
yeah.
that's
But we, like, my clients are overperforming by doing
yeah,
lesser. Like,
exactly. So
they
then
don't
you're like on the
have
other
here.
extreme of like, okay, when do I ever pause? Well, there is, or well, they don't even know what is pause. But
Yeah,
yes, I think that's what happens, right? So it's yeah, it's a tough, I don't know, tough world out there. And so hopefully people get more awareness and they know what they're doing, and hopefully they
yeah.
learn to listen.
You have to really want it.
And
You
that
have
too.
to really want
Exactly.
it, and you have to be willing to um look at the things that made you successful
Yeah,
and open to something different.
correct.
And that's not
Exactly.
easy. It's not easy to
Yes.
do alone, right? Which is why you need a guide. Because it's
Yep.
not easy to do alone, because you're like, how can I question the very things that brought me to the top?
Hmm.
And if I, at this level of leadership and this level of success and this level of achievement, and this level of where people look up to me, say that that's not making me happy, then what is the legacy I'm leaving? Am I leaving a legacy? Am I lying to people? Am I like, we need to sit with in the discomfort of that. And
Yeah.
it's always helpful to have someone who can be with you in that discomfort, who's walked that before, because
Hmm.
it's hard to do it alone. And why should you have to do it alone?
Correct.
You know?
Exactly.
And
Yep.
at this receptivity, when you spoke just a few moments ago about, the awareness and then sort of making that effort, there's um, you know, another part to that too. It's like, do I have to, as a leader, always do everything myself?
Hmm.
And some of us have that issue. I definitely used to have it. Like, I could not delegate. I could not, like, I didn't come to this work like you, like, it was a journey. No a person of Indian origin ever comes to this kind of stuff. Like, we become doctor, lawyers, engineers, all of that. So that, I have a past life too.
Yeah.
And it's this, can I be open to receiving from others or from from grace, from the universe, from consciousness, however and to receive doesn't mean that I lack.
Mm.
To receive doesn't mean that I'm complacent.
Yeah.
It means I have so much, like such a level of trust. I have such a level that I can be human enough to be like, I'm receiving as much from my employee as they are receiving from me. Because, guess what? If they didn't receive from me, there would be no one to give to. So I am receiving I am receiving that what they are willing to receive. Like if they are not
Correct.
willing to receive, I can't receive.
Correct.
I'm receiving their humility to be mentored, or, their openness.
Yeah.
And that makes things a lot easier, because
Mm.
then we're not chasing. I don't know how many are listening or watching, but, let me just give you a visual. If your hands are grasping, right, you're reaching, your hands are closed, you're in fists. So you're chasing something and you're saying, I want it, but I'm not getting it. But you're doing this. But to get something, you have to do this,
Yeah.
right? This is not
Open
begging,
up.
this is receiving.
Yes. Open
It
arms.
doesn't mean you don't do the work. You do the work, but there's a point where you kind of just receive, be willing to receive.
Mm.
And we don't
Yep.
talk about that in the world, right? Because it's all about get the next deal, get the next this, get more stock options, get. Like just make sure that I mean, grab a cup of coffee. Why can't you just enjoy a cup of coffee? Why do you have to grab a cup of
Correct.
like it's just so pervasive that unless someone calls it out and you start noticing it and you bring it to your awareness, you just get caught in that,
Yeah.
like that tornado.
Yes. It's always the act of doing. So it's always we're
Yeah,
doing
like if
something.
you don't do, you're not good. You're not good enough. You'll be left behind. You're not worthy. You're not making the world a better place, whatever the story is, right? As though that your whole existence is based only on doing. If it is, it's okay. If you want something more, then it's a good place to start with that awareness.
Absolutely. Awesome. Wow. It seems like we're kind of almost there at time. And so I guess so I want to just ask one last question here, Mirabelle, is so what do you want the audience to kind of take away from this, right? And if they want to make a change now, if they're listening to this, and what can they do today? What would that one thing be?
I'd say keep your heart really open,
Mm.
because as we go through life, especially as we get older, especially as we, go through so many iterations of being leaders in different capacities, in different roles, um, it's easy for the heart to close, to become jaded, to believe that this is the only way things work or there's no other way. So I would say don't let anything close your heart, not just to others, but particularly to your own self. There is so much more to you than all these wonderful, wonderful things you've done in life. And also the things that we've done, we hold guilt from saying yes to things and no to, our kids or like whatever, various things. And there's a way to meet those experiences that are unprocessed, to tap into our most radiant selves, not to achieve radiance, but to experience this level of effortless ease, effortless power. That is who we are. It's possible.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And do you want to tell the audience where they can reach out to you if they want to talk to you or have questions or want to learn more about you? You can share your social media where they can find you, etc.
Sure. I'll just say this. I'm not for everybody. So if you feel a calling listening to this, that it stirred something in you, then reach out to me, get on my website, we can get on a call. I am very particular that I work with a certain kind of people because I serve best at that level. Um, and so this is not to be a snob or to, it's just to save everybody's time and energy.
Yeah, but can you share the website or the?
Yeah, so it's mirabellecuna.com. It's just
Okay,
my name.com. And there's, I've got a blog, there's an apply to work with me, which would be a good way to get on a call and just sort of, if you have a question or you want to just kind of brainstorm something. Yeah, I'd say that. But trust your heart and trust your gut. Like I don't have any expectations really. Yeah.
great. Well, thank you so much, Mirabelle, for sharing this time and your journey and sharing a lot because I know there's a lot of folks who listen to this who are high achievers and they're all trying to find this something. And, I think it's a journey. And so I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your experiences here with all of us today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me and thank you for doing this.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for doing this despite like everything that you're holding space for that um it warms my heart that you do this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.